Have you ever held a letter in your hands, knowing that inside it, there are words you are both desperate to read and terrified to face? Words that you know will change everything, words you can never unread, words that could pierce straight through your soul. This is the story of a man named Michael Lele, and the letter that broke him, healed him, and forever changed the way he saw his life. Michael was an ordinary man, living in a quiet town in Pennsylvania. He wasn't famous, he wasn't rich, he wasn't powerful. But in his small circle of life, he was known. Known as a reliable worker, a neighbor who waved to everyone, a man who kept his lawn tidy and his front porch light always on. On the surface, his life seemed perfectly steady, but if you looked closer, you'd see the cracks that had been widening for years. You see, Michael was a father who had once held his baby boy in his arms and promised to give him the world. His son's name was Jason. From the moment Jason was born, with tiny fists clenched and eyes that seemed too wise for a newborn, Michael swore he would do better than his own father had done for him. He swore he would always be present, always supportive, always proud. But promises made in the glow of new beginnings have a way of colliding with the storms of real life. As Jason grew, Michael found himself consumed by work. Bills piled up, responsibilities grew heavier, and his marriage strained under the weight of unspoken arguments and endless stress. Somewhere along the way, Michael forgot the simple truth that children don't spell love with money or gifts, they spell it with TME. Jason wanted his father's attention. He wanted him at the Little League games, at the school plays, at the late-night talks about dreams and fears. But Michael was always too busy, too tired, too distracted. "Next time, son," he would say. "I promise, next time," but next time rarely came. By the time Jason was a teenager, the distance between them had grown wide, like a river neither of them knew how to cross. They still lived under the same roof, but their conversations were short, sharp, often laced with frustration. Michael thought he was preparing his son for the real world by being tough, by reminding him of responsibilities. But Jason only heard criticism, never encouragement. He longed for approval, but found only silence. And then came the night that changed everything. It was a chilly November evening. Michael came home late from work, exhausted, shoulders heavy with the weight of the day. He expected to find Jason in his room, probably on his phone or gaming console. Instead, he found silence, a silence that felt strange. On the kitchen table lay an envelope. His name was written on it in his son's handwriting. "Dad?" Michael picked it up, his heart already racing. He opened it slowly, and as his eyes moved across the page, his knees buckled. He sat down hard in the kitchen chair, the letter trembling in his hands. It wasn't a long letter, but every word cut him open. "Dad, I don't know if you'll ever understand me. I've spent years trying to be enough for you, trying to hear you say you're proud of me, but I don't think I ever will. I've tried, but I feel invisible in this house. I feel like nothing I do matters. Maybe I am nothing. I just wanted you to see me, Dad, just once, to know that I was enough. I can't keep carrying this weight. I'm sorry." There was no signature, just silence. Michael's world shattered in that moment. He ran to Jason's room, his heart pounding in his chest, dread rising like a storm. And there, in the quiet, he found the son he had ignored for so long. Lying still, a bottle of pills on the nightstand. The scream that tore from Michael's throat was not human, it was the sound of a soul breaking. The hospital lights blurred as he rushed beside his son's stretcher, begging, pleading, praying. The hours dragged on, doctors moving in and out, machines beeping, hope rising and falling like a cruel tide. And then, sometime before dawn, a doctor walked out with eyes heavy with sorrow and said the words no father ever wants to hear. "I'm sorry. We did everything we could." Jason was gone. Just like that, the boy who had once looked at him with wonder, the boy who only ever wanted his father's love, was gone. The funeral was a blur. Faces blurred, voices muffled, sympathy meaningless. Michael stood by the grave, rain mingling with tears, clutching the letter, the last words his son had left him. And as the coffin was lowered, he whispered the words he had never said when it mattered most. "I'm proud of you, son. I'm so, so proud of you." But Jason couldn't hear him anymore. For months after, Michael was a ghost of a man. He moved through life mechanically, haunted by memories, drowning in guilt. The letter never left his pocket, folded and worn, his constant punishment. He replayed every moment he had chosen work over family, every time he had stayed silent instead of saying, "I love you." He realized too late that it wasn't the big sacrifices his son had needed. It was the small ones, the evenings at home, the words of encouragement, the time shared. It would have been easy for Michael to remain in that pit of despair forever, to let grief and guilt swallow him whole. But one day, something changed. He was cleaning out Jason's room, a task he had avoided for months, when he found a box under the bed. Inside were sketches, notebooks, journals, drawings of guitars, song lyrics scribbled in messy handwriting, plans for a future his son had dreamed of. Dreams Michael had never asked about, never cared to listen to. And in that moment, Michael made a decision. He couldn't bring Jason back, but he could honor him. He started reading his son's journals, learning about the boy he had lost, piecing together the heart he had ignored. He found Jason's dream of becoming a songwriter, his love for music, his quiet determination. And Michael, a man who had never played an instrument in his life, signed up for guitar lessons. At first, it was clumsy, painful even. But with each note he learned, he felt closer to Jason. With every lyric he sang, he felt his son's presence. And slowly, he began to heal. More than that, he began to share. Michael started speaking at schools, telling Jason's story. He stood before teenagers and fathers alike, holding the letter that had once destroyed him, and said, "Don't wait. Don't wait to tell your children you're proud of them. Don't wait to say I love you, because one day you'll run out of days." At first, it was just small groups, but word spread. Soon, he was invited to conferences, community centers, even church gatherings, and everywhere he went, people wept. Fathers hugged their sons tighter, mothers held their daughters longer. And Michael knew Jason's story was saving lives. Years later, Michael sat on his porch, guitar in hand, strumming the chords of a song his son had written but never sung. His hair was grayer now, his hands rougher, but his heart, though scarred, was open. He looked at the sky and whispered, "I see you, son. I see you, and I'm proud." Because here's the truth. Love left unspoken is not love at all. Gratitude left unexpressed is as good as ingratitude. And time is the one thing we can never get back. Michael's story is not just about grief. It is about awakening, about realizing that we cannot wait for tomorrow to give the love we should give today. So, if you're listening to this, let his pain teach you what he learned too late. Open your mouth and say the words. Tell your child you are proud. Tell your parents you are grateful. Tell your friends they matter. Don't let silence rob you of love, because one day you might find yourself holding a letter with words you can never unread and tears that will never stop. But you don't have to wait until it's too late. You can choose right now to speak, to love, to live in a way that leaves no room for regret. And that is the only way to honor the people we love.